Hello everyone, welcome back to the WebPro podcast.
Hey, nice to be back. So sorry. We've had a little bit of a break, haven't we? A bit of an extended break, but those of you that will know that we're at WordCon, or we're kind of right in the middle of Q4 now, and we've just kind of getting all the last bits and bobs tied up. Lots of clients working with, aren't we, Roxy? And I think it's been a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks, isn't it? So sorry. We're back on it now, and you can expect a podcast every single week for your listening delight.
We will be back in your ears. Normal service has resumed. It's been a crazy couple of weeks though, hasn't it? I think after WedCon, did I get ill? I don't even know.
Yeah, you've been poorly. Yeah, you've been poorly, haven't you? I'm feeling, I've got a bit of a headache today. I said I've had a bit of a rushed morning today, but we are back. We are here. It's not about us. It's all about you. But first, we wouldn't be doing our podcast justice, would we? We obviously had a lot of talk about WedCon prior to this episode, so we did it. It's done. We did it. Regular listeners of the podcast will know that it was obviously like 2.5 years in the making. It was planned for 2020, started planning it in 2019, didn't we? And then to not be able to have it until this November, we poured a lot of energy into that, didn't we? There was a lot of rearranging things. I
actually said on the day to a couple of people, this is what we felt must have been exactly what couples felt, that kept postponing, kept rearranging, and it was, felt like a lot at times.
Yeah, but it was so worth it, wasn't it? Like, we both went into the day like honestly feeling like we didn't know whether we wanted to put on another one, because we'd just invested so much energy and so much time, hadn't we, into the like details and into the planning and the rearranging and all of the kind of logistics that go into planning an event of that scale. But we had such an amazing day, and we wouldn't be doing you guys justice, would we, if we didn't at least think about it. So
I want to thank you all for coming.
Yeah, you fired us up. We had a really great time. I know, like, we've sent out feedback forms, haven't we, for people that wanted to be there, and the vast majority of people have said yes, they would want to come to another one. Our speakers on the day were amazing. What was your highlight talk?
For me, it was, I don't know, all of them. I did love them all, every single one of them. My highlight of the whole day was just having people in a room together.
Yeah, it was good. That was nice. There was loads of ideas. A highlight for me was definitely Robin's talk, and I know a lot of other people have said that was amazing. But also Terry's always lovely to see. Then we had
all of them. Jackie, I love Jackie's talk, to be fair. Like, I did think, I love that one, but all of them equally.
Yeah, Jackie really got the day up to a really good start, didn't she? She talked about like the 11 steps to like bookings, and that was amazing. And then obviously we had Rin, she was fantastic. Becca, Anna, we had Terry and Robin. So thank you to our speakers. Thank you for those of you that came, and for those of you that missed out. You did miss an amazing day. Loads of learning took place, didn't it? Like, some people have even said, they've learned more than they've learned in 12 months in their business for attending that day. And we got to chat to loads of people, didn't we? Loads of you picked up our social media planners. We got to chat to loads of you about, but it was just me and you. We ended up having staff on the day, didn't we? But they were poorly. So it just ended up being me and you, didn't it? And I think that's probably why you've ended up being poorly, because
it's almost like a burnout, isn't it? Like, time on that morning went so fast. We got there about 7, and before we knew it, it was 9:15. Doors were open, and I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for this.
But I do want to say a huge thank you, and I know that she listens, to Joanne from Tangled Events, because you made our room look absolutely beautiful, and we'll pop the details of Joanne inside of our show notes. But she made the room look stunning, like centerpieces, letters, there were like chair covers, and she really turned that room around because it was obviously a football stadium, so there was a lot of blue, wasn't there? And she made it look.
Stadium. At one point throughout the day, I was sat listening to one of the talks, and the next minute I get an inbox from Katie. I'm like, why are you on the pitch?
You've got to do it. You've got to do it, haven't you?
Where are you?
I'm going on the pitch. You've got to do it. But yes, thank you to everyone that came. We're having a day together tomorrow, aren't we? So we're gonna plan out our next year. We've made some kind of small inquiries into what WedCon might look like for 2023.
Really, really quickly, you know, like the vision that you had in your head about what WedCon would look like. For me, she hit the nail on the head. The brief was met. It was banging. It was visual. It was creative. It's great.
You were so nice. So thank you for coming. Thank you for making the day so lovely. Thank you for those of you that got the feedback form thing, because it really helps us to plan our next event.
The eyes peeled for info as it arrives on that.
Yeah, as soon as we've got the information, I've reached out to a couple of places. I'm just waiting to hear back. But you just want to make it better and better, don't you, really? So date and venue first. We're thinking kind of late 2023, maybe even early 2024. We've just got to see what venues have got available. We're obviously hitting into a busy season, which segues nicely into what we want to talk about today, doesn't it? And what we want to talk all to you lovely people about is all about how to reply to those inquiries that are coming in, especially if they are coming in kind of online or into your inbox, into your DMs, because they haven't had that like personal connection with you yet, like they would have at a wedding fair. I mean, if you've met somebody at a wedding fair, at least maybe you're able to kind of dazzle them with a bit of personality, or show them some of your portfolio, or really get a feel as to whether even that couple is the kind of couple that you want to work with. But today we want to talk to you all about how to kind of reply to your online inquiries coming in, and advice to be able to keep those couples within your sales funnel.
That's it, isn't it? Like, it's okay kind of getting that first inquiry, but it's then how you consistently keep those couples.
Yeah, we just want to make you have kind of all the tools that you need, not just to make a strong impression, but to keep that conversation going. Because I know me, and I bet a lot of you listening, and definitely Roxy, like, put your hand up if you spend more time than you ever thought possible in front of your computer.
I do. In fact, I'm standing up.
Because between like all of the work that goes into organising your wedding, then keeping up like with the admin of your work, all of the marketing that you've got to do, Instagram posts, social media, replying to comments, there's like 100 additional reasons to sit down in front of your computer, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what we want you to be able to do is kind of, as a wedding professional, you need to be showing up on the internet with purpose, and that purpose should be to be building a recognizable and trusted brand. And the truth really is, definitely when we're talking about this topic, is that you only have like so many chances to make a good impression. And usually it's kind of within the first few seconds, or that first touch point that your client has with you, in order to be making that really strong first impression. So we wanted to make sure on this podcast that when you do sit down at your computer to respond to those inquiries, that you've got all the tools that you need to not just make a strong impression, but to make the right impression on the couples as well.
So I think firstly, we should talk about, just like you've said, segues nicely into this first point, is that initial follow-up email. So when ping, oh, we've got an inquiry, now what? Because that, I don't know, that would have previously in the bridal shop maybe filled me with a little bit of dread, thinking, oh my gosh, this is my chance to make a first impression. How am I going to get that across over the internet? Because like you said, not...
And also like to come across authentic, personable, etc. I think one of the first things that we probably should say is like replying to inquiries within a timely fashion. Now that does not mean, and I have 100% been guilty of this.
Me too. I don't know what you're going to say.
Replying to people at like 11 p.m. at night because the inquiries come in, and okay, well, it's in my brain now, so I need to reply. But But you don't need to do that. It just needs to be within a timely fashion and within kind of a working hour, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, and I think what's always handy to have in that, you know, once that inquiry lands in, if it's via email or on your socials, have your auto replies set up to say, you know, like, thank you, like, basically we've received your inquiry. I might be, you know, busy at weddings, whatever, out of hours, but in the meantime, like, direct them to somewhere else where they can find out a little bit more information about you, which is obviously
nice. 100%. And it's not just about the speed alone. There's actually more strategy involved to a successful reply, because your response is not just your opportunity to be at the top of somebody's inbox. Like, that's not how your clients are going to work. It's not going to be like, oh, this inquiry's happened first. Yes, that will have a part to play in it if they're online and you're online at the same time, and you can have that conversation back and forth. But there are other ways to do that, and we will get onto that. But it is the opportunity, really it's about that opportunity you have to create a strong first impression of who you are. So, you know, the things that you do up until this point, such as building an authentic brand on social media, or the touch point where they found you, whether they come through a website inquiry or come through a social media inquiry, and showing your personality within your marketing. So if you have a blog, for example, or you, and it's about talking in the first person in your blogs and talking in the first person on your website to be able to create that connection with your couples. But as this is the first time you are actually interacting with your couple, this is where you need your in-person persona and your personality to match the one that you've built on the internet.
so true.
Yeah, otherwise something just feels a little bit off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? What I always think is really, really, really important is, you know, to show yourself through the medium of words and how you speak and your tone. That has all got to be in keeping with the things that they've already seen about you on the web, on your website, maybe on your Instagram. It's got to all fit together, hasn't it?
Yeah, and in terms of, we just hit this kind of timeliness thing, because we do hear it a lot, don't we? And I think a lot of self-employed people do feel the pressure in terms of like replying really quickly, or they think that they're going to lose a sale if they don't reply. How quickly you do reply does influence the likelihood that you are going to hear back from your lead. But there is like an art to this, because if you respond too quickly, potentially you're going to lose some things in communication between yourself and the couple. Perhaps, you know, you might come across that you're too available, almost like that you a bit inexperienced and you're almost too available, or maybe it's just a little bit creepy that you're just like straight on that in the first 20 seconds.
Gosh, like, I've only just hit send and already.
But respond too slowly, and that can also give the impression that you can't provide the kind of hands-on experience that your clients might be looking for. And the kind of sweet spot in the middle is sending a reply to a new inquiry within a few hours if it's in working hours, or, you know, the next day if it's not. And then that way you're good to go. But an auto reply that tells somebody that you're going to respond within 24 hours is not the best use of your first message. You need to be customizing that message, don't you, Roxy? So it's not just like, hey, I'm out of office right now.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough in this day and age at all.
No, so you need to be like replying that quick reply feature, and that's available on social media. It's available on Instagram, it's available on Facebook, and you can also set it up for any website inquiries that come in as well. You need to kind of welcome your lead in, congratulate them in a personal way. So not just the typical congratulations on your upcoming wedding, but congratulate them in a way that feels natural to you, how you would do in person.
Yeah.
And let them know that you're personally reviewing their email and that you'll be getting in touch with them. And then exactly what you said, Roxy, send them somewhere. So send them to your portfolio, or send them to a blog that is going to like give them more reason to love you before you've even got into that.
Or you can link it to like an online brochure or something like that, just so they can, just so you're continually warming them up until you're able to reply. Now, this next thing we're going to talk about is something actually that I do quite a lot, and I know you always say that, oh, like Roxy's like this superb saleswoman. I don't know why. But so keeping it professional, but also try and what's the word? I've lost my words. So when you get an email from a potential new client, you've got to mimic the way they talk to you. That is the way that you should respond to them.
Yeah, it's called mirroring. So
that's the word I'm looking for. See, can't you just tell I'm off?
This is why we work together. You're the yin and
yes, thank you very much. So mirror the vibes that they're giving you, mirror the tone, the language. It so works.
And this is exactly what you said in terms of kind of sales and any kind of sales we would do in the bridal shop, like mirroring their body language and mirroring.
I would even do body language, which would be weird, but even, I think it was you that taught me this, like a touch on the shoulder, obviously like nothing overly touchy, but just little kind of things that you do really help along lines the sale process. Now, if you're not an emoji user and they've used emojis, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to go that far. Keep it professional, but do bear in mind that the people that you're going to be working with are going to be hopefully your ideal clients. So this part should actually come a little bit easier, because they should already be like, okay, like, yes, these are the people I want to work with. But definitely look at the language they use and try and replicate and mirror what.
Yeah, a really good example of this is if they reply, if they're quite informal in the kind of first email inquiry that they send to you, and if they're like addressing you by first name, then you address them by first name too. So don't kind of say like, hi, Miss Lith, or whatever you want to say. Like it would be like, hi Katie, like really lovely to receive your inquiry, and along those kinds of lines really. But exactly with what you were kind of saying in the bridal shop, and this is a really great tip for those of you that do your first initial consultation in person or over Zoom or something like that, to be able to just kind of mirror that body language. What people are looking for is people that they connect with, and when we get that connection, it makes the sale much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're kind of on their wavelength, and it works in the reverse as well. So if somebody is quite formal, maybe they've got a higher budget for their wedding, or whether it's kind of you're dealing with mother-in-law or mother or wedding planner or anything like that, it works in exactly the same way. So if they're keeping things formal, you keep things formal as well, if that suits your business and that suits your ideal client.
Yeah.
Check for grammar. I'm like the grammar nerd, aren't I?
And I'm probably dyslexic, so on that kind of, we are like the opposites. But I'm glad to have you. I'm glad.
Yeah, nothing ruins like a good first impression than like a typo. So just reread your response and just make sure. A really great tip for this, and we'll link these in, is to have like a batch of emails that you can send out. So have a batch of templates written, so that you're not having to rewrite the same email like 30, 40, 50 times. We're about to go into engagement season. We want to be removing the amount of time that you're sat in front of that laptop, not giving you more time. So if you have and you can write these yourself, but we've written some for you and we know that they work. People constantly come back and tell us that they've been able to book more weddings using our templates. But just having some templates, even if it's nothing to do with like improving your sales rate, the templates that we've got take people through a kind of journey, so they're about improving that kind of sales rate and improving that conversion rate. But we have had people come back to us and say, oh, I'm not so great with grammar, or I'm not so great with words, like these have really helped me. And just to have something, and you can set them up in Facebook and Instagram actually, and you can set them up as a shortcut on your phone, so that you just then like either cut and paste them, or you write a certain word. It's like called shortcuts, isn't it, on your iPhone?
Yeah. And
then that response goes in, so you're not consistently using the same, like typing out the same email over and over and over again.
You've got to remember that only because you're going, oh, I've got to do this email again, that'll be the first time that they clap eyes on that email. So it doesn't matter that you send in the kind of the same template to different.
Yeah, and there'll be parts in that template as well, and we've put them there. We've put them, I think they're in like red or pink or something like that, where we ask you to insert things that are like individual to the couple.
Yeah.
And what the couple might have mentioned that they like, or the style that they're after, or something that's personal, whether it's a date or anything like that, so that and this is what it is, it's all about that kind of connection.
It is, yeah. So back to the typos really quickly. I use a Chrome extension add-on called Grammarly. Now it's set for America, actually. I need to change that, but that's beside the point. This will help you, if you're prone to typos, or like me, I always put letters the wrong way around, and it easily scans and checks your text for you. Click the button. It's kind of like spell check, but it does grammar. That's called Grammarly, and I'll put that link in the show notes for anyone that might be interested in having a look. But yeah, make sure your like spell checkers on anyway, because that will help you along the way.
Yeah, and just reread, read what you like back, what you're going to write. Like, I even make this mistake, and I'm quite good at like spelling and grammar, but I can quite often just write something and not go back and check it. And actually, when I do go back and check it, I'm like, oh, I've missed a comma there, or I could use a better word for that there. But also read their inquiry back before you hit send.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite things to do, because have you ever, I mean, hands up those of you that have probably like responded to an inquiry and then you've hit send and thought, I could have added that in there as well if I'd only just read the inquiry properly in the first place. Just take your time, read it. There is no rush to reply instantaneously.
Yeah, make sure that you're answering all the questions that they want you to answer. And you're just nailing that kind of first impression. It's quite irritating, not just for kind of wedding planning, but just in general. Like, I'm sure all of us can think back to a time where you've needed some information off people and you've had to go back and ask the same question. And sometimes it can take, especially if you're dealing with online inquiries or emails especially, it can take hours, sometimes days, for people to get back to you. So making sure that you've got everything already included in that kind of lead reply, and those templates, not just our templates, but if you have written a template yourself, that will help make sure that you don't miss those points as well.
Yeah, because you'll probably find, like we find, and probably in all businesses across all sectors, is when you get inquiries, don't you often get asked very similar questions, so the answers are very similar?
Yeah, very samey.
Yeah.
Hi, I don't like this response now, but we're going back kind of 10 years ago now. Hi, congratulations on your engagement. We don't say that now. We say something much more personal. And this brings us on to our next point. Like, always make sure you're personalizing those responses. Don't underestimate the power of personalization at all, because by beyond kind of addressing your leads by their first names, or talking about the venue that they've got married at, or confirming their wedding date, or connecting on the style that the couple have expressed an interest in, you can try and personalize your response based on their personalities as well. So if you read and then reread their initial email and their initial inquiry, you're likely to pick up pieces of their personality anyway. So maybe they, I don't know, have mentioned that they want to involve their dog in their wedding, or whatever it might be. Or, if it's come from Facebook or Instagram, I mean, we've been known to go and have a little bit of a like Instagram stalk, haven't we? And like go and say,
quite often we used to do that, didn't we? Just be like, let's go inside.
Oh, like, what can we connect on here? Like, what kind of interest have they got, or anything like that. But if you want to make sure your reply stands out when it goes back into their inbox, because the likelihood is that they've probably inquired with a couple of places, I've reached out to a couple of suppliers in your field. Make sure you craft an eye-catching subject line, or open your email with something other than "thank you so much for reaching out, congratulations on your engagement."
Boring.
Think about your personality, your business, how you want to come across, your style, and think about how you can create an eye-catching subject line, or open with something that's a little bit more personal. Then can you imagine having 10, 20, 30 emails, and think of all of the vendors that where the couples have to book, and every single one of them is like, "Hi, Tony and Jamie, congratulations on your engagement. Thank you for your inquiry. Thanks so much for reaching out." Do you know what I mean? You're not going to stand out at all. So have a think about, like, what you can do with on how you can stand out. I always remember an email that we used to get, and it was part of their auto response actually. So I sent an inquiry, and I can't remember what it was for, but it was to a small business. I think it was to somebody that I found on Etsy, and their out of hours kind of thing came back. And at the bottom of it had like a picture of a goat, it had like a meme of a goat. And then it linked me to like their shop or their portfolio, so that I could go and have a little look at the other stuff while I was waiting for the inquiry to kind of finish. But that kind of always like stood out, and
that stood out to you, hasn't it?
And still, yeah, that I remember. And actually, I bought something from there this year.
There you go. I mean, when I look in my inbox, I mean, I am rubbish at replying to emails as well, or even opening them sometimes. So even if they have done that initial inquiry, you've got to catch their eye in that list of emails. What's going to make you stand out?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, close with a call to action. We love the word call to action.
Love it. I remember a time when I used to hate it. It's like, what is a call to action? And now I think I dream about them. Call to action.
Don't leave like an effective email response. Just not leave the prospect hanging.
Don't leave them hanging, guys. Don't leave them hanging.
You want to end your email with a clear next step for them, as well as like for you as well, and for your business. So if you aren't ready for that next step in your business, make sure that you ask like a low commitment question to keep the conversation moving along, so that they then come back and reply to you.
I suppose that this ties in nicely with that personalization thing, because if you're not ready for that hard call to action yet, if they are, I don't know, they're involving their dog, what kind of dog is it? Like, just try and be clever.
Yeah, but also it might be about you sussing out whether you want to work with that client. So it's all about as well. The control just isn't with the couples; it's with you. Do you want to work with this client? So you might not be ready for that next step either. So whether you're not at the point in the process to ask for the sale, or you want to qualify your couple a little bit more, you can use things like, are you planning to have your ceremony and reception at the same location? Do you know how many guests you're expecting? Something like that, that's quite low level, it's low commitment. The couple don't have to think about it for a really long time. They don't have to go away and make alternative arrangements elsewhere. They don't have to have already booked something before they come back to you. But just something that keeps that conversation going, and keeps that funnel alive, basically, so that you can then like reignite that conversation when the time is right, and ask for the sale when the time is right.
Yeah. So then after you've kind of done all that, and you've had their inquiry, you've replied, and then what if you don't hear anything? Then what?
Yeah, like this is why it's so important to follow up. And we come from kind of having a bridal shop and having a sales background, so this to us comes naturally, but it didn't always come naturally, did it? No. In terms of like the key is in the follow-up, hugely. And it's the same, this is what used to happen with sales, and I think, what was it that we had to ask for the sale, was it 10 times?
Around 10 times.
Yeah, before somebody is like ready to commit. So it's about like getting your prospect, getting your lead into a place where they are ready to commit. But in terms of like the follow-up, it's hugely important to follow up. Like, even if a couple likes your business, loves what you do, likes what they've read from you, they might not remember to reply. Like,
they're probably not going to remember to begin with, are they? Until something sparks in their brain, like, oh, we need to reply to so and so.
Yeah, be sure to have a plan to stay top of mind. I mean, inside of our template emails, we have got some templates in there to deal with couple ghosting and anything like that, because quite a lot, I know that's quite a frustrating prospect, especially in our industry, so kind of invest so much time into an inquiry and then for that lead to go cold. So we, in those templates that we created, there's a couple that just reignite that conversation as well.
How much are they? Are they a fiver, or am I dreaming?
No, they're £5, yeah.
They're £5. So go and take a look. Link in the show notes. It's a must.
But what you want to do really with here is kind of like have a step-by-step follow-up method. So really quickly, like number one, you want to reply using the same method. So if they have coming to you via Instagram DMs, you reply via Instagram DMs. You can always move that conversation somewhere else afterwards. But first of all, reply in the same method that they have reached out to you in. That fast reply, that establishes trust and a sense of reliability, and that's even before you even start discussing details. And if you reply within a timely method, remember, this doesn't mean you have to be first, but it does. If you are timely, it will give you a significant advantage over those who do not reply in a timely manner. So it is important to reciprocate the communication on the same channel in which you were first contacted, because that's where they're going to expect to receive it.
Yeah, it is.
So if your couple are then yet to respond kind of the day after, or kind of give it 48 hours if you want to, don't fret. Understand, work schedules, life, other priorities often get in the way. They might be inquiring with a couple of other places first before they make the decision. They might need to speak to somebody to qualify, qualify you, or they might want to get the opinion of their bridesmaid or whatever it is. Give them a day or a couple of days, and then follow up with a little nudge. Try something like, hi, I wanted to make sure that you've received my response. I'm really excited to help you with your beautiful wedding. And then finish with something like really low commitment, like we gave you before, just to kind of keep that conversation going. Have you already reserved a venue? Whatever it is, like that. So then if it's been a few days and you still haven't heard anything, what do you do next? Well, you put your feet up and you think, well, that didn't work. No, that's not what we do. There's loads of reasons why they might not have replied yet.
There is
I'm talking now, by this point, we could be kind of 5-6 days after initial inquiry. And you want to, it could be that they're landing in spam filters, or they haven't just got around to reading it yet, or perhaps they just need a little nudge. Perhaps they were like ready to book you, and then the telephone rang or the door went.
This stuff happens to me in real life. Like, honestly, I have every intention of doing something and go, oh, so like my distraction is like my brain has been distracted somewhere else. So it happens to me, it happens to other people too.
Yeah, so it's kind of important to send another message within those kind of first days, not weeks. So it's just about then sending a message like, I'm just sending this message just in case your spam filters picked it up, or I just want to confirm whether you're still looking for whatever your service is. And then this will give you an idea whether that is worth pursuing, or whether like your lead is going cold. Now, some people like to send a final email and try and incorporate something different. So some people try to kind of incorporate like a little bit of humor, or kind of just be a little bit more personable, and see whether they get a reaction. So something would be like, I know you're busy, so I prepared 3 convenient ways to help you. Number 1, ignore this email and eventually I'll get a picture and we'll
I like that. Yeah.
Hit reply and I will plan you the most perfect wedding ever. 3, wildcard, call me on this number, interrupt my day like I have yours. I deserve it.
Man, that's genius. I love that. And I think, is that the final time? After that, if you don't get a reply, I'm thinking that's the time when you go, okay.
Yeah, or you might want to reply with something like, hey Roxy, I've sent you a few emails now and a text. Maybe that is a little bit stalkery. And didn't hear back from you.
And I've left you a voicemail.
Yeah, remember there is a line. So I figured that maybe, number 1, you found a different service that was just so awesome you couldn't resist it. Or number 2, you've been meaning to get back to me, but you're just so busy. Number 3, you want me to stop contacting you, just ask. Or you've been binge watching whatever your ideal client would be binge watching, The Crown, and you just need me to send some popcorn or something like that. I don't know. Please let me know which number, and if you prefer microwave popcorn or, I don't know, butter kissed or whatever it is. Yeah. and just to try and send like a little bit of your personality, a little bit of humor, and you never know, you might get a response. But wedding professionals, we find this, that wedding professionals often wait too long before reaching out or not pursuing the lead enough. And how do you know? Until they say, no, I don't require your service, or no, you know, you're not the wedding florist for me, or I've found somebody else, or you're too expensive, or whatever it is, and they have said no, that lead is still a yes.
Because you must remember that they inquired to you in the first place.
100%. 100%. And lastly, last little tip, respond to everybody. Even if you're not available, or you know that you're not the right fit.
True, yeah.
Couples hate being ghosted as much as you hate being ghosted. And it's just polite, isn't it? And it, you know, they might know somebody else that's getting married that would love what you do, or they might have been following you for a little while. You don't have to say, look, I don't work with couples like you, or, you know, my time and your time. You can, you know, use a little bit of creativity in your reply and turning down the couple, whether you're not available or whatever you want to say. But, you know, that person could recommend you to a fantastic client that books your top package of everything. Or, you know, they might recommend you to a wedding professional who then recommends you to loads of other people. But you want to give that impression that you're great to work with, even with the people that you don't end up working with. So maybe that lead will pass your name along in the future. So
maybe they've inquired and it's not quite, they're not quite a fit for you. Maybe you know a wed pro that you can refer to them and say, oh, sorry, that's not something that we do, or it's not our whatever. Well, here's the information of somebody we know who does.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so respond to everybody. Like, people hate being ghosted. I hate being ghosted. Do you hate being ghosted? Yeah. I think we do this as well, don't we? We reply and say, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's see, that has reminded me to reply to somebody that's been in our inbox for a few days. Oh. With a no. But it's not a client. It's we've been invited to an event.
Have we?
Yeah, but it's for NFTs. No, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
But yeah, how do you find kind of replying to online leads? Please let us know. Let us know if you found this podcast helpful. We will leave the templates. We'll leave the link in the show notes. Even if you just want to look at, in terms of the templates that we've written, I think we've listed them in the sales on the sales page. So you can see the different templates you get. And I think with those as well, you also get an onboarding guide. So that guides you through like every step of like inviting that client.
It's just value for money.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? It's just value for money. And the thing is, even if you don't use all of the template, like you've got the skeleton template there. So for a £5, geez, that's going to take up, like, that's going to just ease that brain like space there for you too.
And like, we don't need to be in front of our laptops. Like, we didn't get into this business. This is what we say constantly in terms of like social media posts and all of that. We didn't get into this business to just be glued to our laptops. Go and be great at performing weddings and DJing and
woo,
as you do, and all of the beautiful, pretty stuff, and dressing your bride
like you were born to be.
Yeah, like all of this stuff can be systemized.
Yeah.
So that's what we want you to do. Like, we don't have to do it the hard way all the time. So
you don't have to do it ourselves all of the time.
Yeah. Whether you use kind of our templates or you create something yourself, you'll be sending out very similar responses in those early steps of your onboarding and those early steps of your initial meetings with those clients. A lot of those emails will be really similar. Yeah. So just sit down in an afternoon and just pen them out, because your future self will be like, oh, thank you so much, because it's going to save you so much time.
Yes, that's it.
That is it. We will look forward to listening. I'll look forward to listening to you, Roxy, on the next one, but we'll always look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at thewedpropodcast@gmail.com. We are always on the lookout for kind of new topics, what you want us to talk about, anything like that. If you are not inside of our Facebook group, hop on in. You will get the two of us, and you'll get 10,000 other wonderful wedding professionals all inside, offering helpful tips, insights, what's going on in their business, networking. It's just a wonderful place to hang, isn't it, Roxy?
Yes, I'll pop the link for that in the show notes as well.
You can find us at the Wedding Business Hub, also on all of the usual socials, Pinterest, Instagram. Come and find us. I'm sure there's
TikTok, everywhere now, aren't we?
Whatever. Oh, TikTok. Yeah, we're on TikTok. Go and follow us on TikTok. You'll be able to get hold of us in whatever way you like to consume our content, and also hop on over to the website and check out our blog as well. Everything on the blog is absolutely free, and we quite often like take these topics and dive into them a little bit deeper. So enjoy the rest of your week, lovelies, and you will hear from us next week.
Well,
Bye.
bye.